It's likely to be an evening of very fast-paced developments and long developments from this point on. Devendra Fadnavis, the former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, is in Raj Bhavan. You're looking at those images that are coming in right now. And Devendra Fadnavis is flanked by several senior BJP leaders who've gone to Raj Bhavan with him. At this point of time, we are told, are several other leaders like Chandrakant Patil and Praveen Darekar. What is this meeting all about? Sahil Joshi, Kamlesh Suta, Rajdeep Sardesai with me on the story. A number of our other reporters will also join us. This Mahasena war appears to be in its final lap. Devendra Fadnavis, we are told, and this is what sources are telling India Today, may seek a floor test. The BJP is telling the governor that the Shiv Sena-led Mahavikas Aghadi government does not have the numbers. Devendra Fadnavis is in Raj Bhavan with several BJP MLAs. Fadnavis to governor, Aghadi government is in minority. They must prove their numbers on the floor of the House. Remember, earlier today, Devendra Fadnavis had flown to Delhi where he met the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah. He also met the BJP President, JP Nadda. Incidentally, there's word coming in from Guwahati that Eknath Shinde, who's leading the rebel camp, and apparently the numbers with them, and in a moment from now we'll be joined by Polami Saha, the numbers with the rebels could be crossing the 50 mark. It could touch 52, 53 is what the rebel camp is claiming this evening. Now, they are also likely to fly to Mumbai. Whether all the rebel MLAs of the Shiv Sena and the independent MLAs who are saying that they are with the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena, whether they will all fly together to Mumbai, or Eknath Shinde and a couple of others will meet the governor, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, and then perhaps the grapevine has it, form a government with the BJP. Eknath Shinde, according to some reports, is being offered the Deputy Chief Minister's post and also some key cabinet berths. And I want to quickly cut across to Sahil Joshi and Kamlesh Sutar, who join me for more on this story. But very, very clearly, developments. First, okay, Rajdeep Sardesai joins me. Rajdeep, is this battle now entering a very decisive phase, or will it be extended till the time Supreme Court hears this matter on the 12th of July?
Well, I don't think it will stretch to the 12th of July. When I look at case law on this matter, it's very clear what happened in Karnataka, for example, in 2020, when then again the government was clearly in a minority, the Kumaraswamy government. He tried to delay it by going to the courts, but in the end, the courts gave him no relief, and a floor test was done. In fact, the court set certain conditions for the floor test, including videographing it. So my sense is that Devendra Fadnavis has recognized that now the momentum is firmly with him. The MLAs who are in Guwahati may get restive because they've been there for a week. And while the Uddhav camp with Sharad Pawar's assistance would like to drag this on, the sooner the BJP strikes, the better for them. So this visit to the Raj Bhavan, which you are seeing on your screens at the moment, is clearly an indication, Gaurav, that the Eknath Shinde, Devendra Fadnavis camp has decided this is the best time to strike, and by striking now, they have a fair chance of getting the governor to tell Uddhav Thackeray to take a floor test at the earliest. Uddhav Thackeray can then go to the Supreme Court, as is likely, to say, look, there's a disqualification petition pending. Till that disqualification petition is not heard by your lordships, please allow me to not take that floor test. But it is a tricky issue. As I said, case law is very clear that given all that has happened in Maharashtra, it would be very difficult for Uddhav Thackeray to push this much further. And only unless the Supreme Court rules in his favor, I think it is end game within the next few days, Gaurav, because I don't think the governor is going to give Uddhav Thackeray too much of time to prove his majority. He will probably ask him to do it within the next 3 to 4 days.
Okay. Rajdeep, do stay on, because this we are going to discuss for the better part of this, of what remains this evening. But Munish now joins me from outside Raj Bhavan in Mumbai. Munish, what are you picking up? Is the BJP intending to stake claim to form the government, or is the BJP as of now wanting Uddhav Thackeray to take a floor test?
Yeah, well, Gaurav, at this point of time, there are photographs of Devendra Fadnavis with the governor, and the viewers can see the photographs of Devendra Fadnavis meeting the governor. Now, at this point of time, it is not very clear that why Devendra Fadnavis has gone to meet the governor at this point of time. But also we have been given to understand from our sources within the BJP is that since morning there have been a lot of developments. Devendra Fadnavis, going and meeting Home Minister Amit Shah, then JP Nadda, there was a joint meeting, and after coming to Mumbai around 8:15, 8:30, within an hour he reached Raj Bhavan, where we are standing right now. My camera person will show you the visuals. Now, yes, whether he will be asking for a floor test right at this point of time, and whether this meeting is only to talk about the health condition of the governor who has been discharged from the hospital a few days back. So it is still not clear whether they will be demanding floor test or not. But since yesterday, Gaurav, what we can tell, and I spoke to several of the BJP leaders, what they are telling us that since yesterday there have been a lot of activities. Several meetings have taken place between Devendra Fadnavis and the BJP MLAs. There was a meeting of core committee members of BJP.
Show us that picture of Devendra Fadnavis with the governor. Any letter in his hand, or is it just a courtesy call just to inquire about his health, like you were mentioning, one of the possibilities? Show us that picture. What does that indicate?
Yeah, well, Gaurav, the photograph is very clear. He is sitting at this point of time. We cannot see whether he is holding any paper or not. It seems like there is a meeting that is confirmed. He has met the governor, but this is not very clear whether this meeting is for a floor test, whether this is regarding the developing situation in Maharashtra, whether it is regarding forming the new government by the Bharatiya Janata Party. But, this is for sure that not only Devendra Fadnavis, but several other leaders of Bharatiya Janata Party, especially from Maharashtra, have come to meet the governor. Okay. But in the
Rajdeep, 10 o'clock at night, it very clearly cannot be a courtesy call to inquire about his health. It has to be something far more serious here.
No, of course. I mean, it is almost clear, as I said, that Devendra Fadnavis has gone to meet the governor after getting all the numbers in place, after getting all the legal advice that he came, legal and political advice that he's got in Delhi. I have been told by a senior BJP leader in Maharashtra that while the operation is being executed in Mumbai, it's been planned in Delhi, planned very carefully so that none of the mistakes that were made in November of 2019 when Devendra Fadnavis rushed to form a government with Uddhav Thackeray in that pre-dawn attack, and then the government unraveled within a week. This time they've done it very carefully, been sure about their numbers, been sure about the legal tangles, and then he's made this move to meet the governor. Now, the governor in the past has often tussled with the Uddhav Thackeray government. The Uddhav Thackeray government has accused the governor of being partisan, so there is a lot of past history between Mr. Koshyari and Uddhav Thackeray. My sense is that at this stage, Devendra Fadnavis is informing the governor about what is the situation as he sees it on the ground. Whether he's going to take the next step and ask the governor to immediately call for a floor test, we don't know. But I would presume so. Why should Devendra Fadnavis now wait any longer, given the fact that for every indication, the numbers are stacked with him, Gaurav?
Okay. And Sahil, is that what is likely to happen with Eknath Shinde indicating that they will come to Mumbai very quickly? Will he come to Mumbai on his own with a couple of MLAs, or the entire Jingbang that's been in Guwahati, they'll fly back to Mumbai?
Well, there are multiple ifs in this. When will they come? There is a time which we cannot predict at this point of time, because right now it's a first move towards asking the MVA government to prove its majority on the floor of the House. Now the governor will surely ask the state government to prove its majority on the floor of the House. Tomorrow it will be supported by the letter given by Bachchu Kadu, his party Prahar, and 8 independent MLAs. Along with that, after that, equipped with the letter given by the BJP and these independent MLAs, the governor may ask Uddhav Thackeray to prove his majority on the floor of the House. After that, if Uddhav Thackeray moves to the Supreme Court, what happens in the Supreme Court is going to be really important. Only after it is clear that who is going to be the pro tem speaker when the floor test will happen. There is a legal battle still involved in that. The Supreme Court will have to hear this on the urgent basis. If the Supreme Court doesn't hear it on the urgent basis, then the MVA government will have a problem, because it depends also that how much time the governor will give the MVA government to call all its MLAs to Mumbai and then conduct the floor test. It will require at least 48 hours, minimum 48 hours. So they have 48 hours to move to the Supreme Court and seek intervention in this matter.
Okay.
Other than that, the other option is that till the time all these things are not clear, I don't see that Eknath Shinde and his MLAs will be back in Mumbai. Once all these things are clear, only after that Eknath Shinde and his MLAs will pack his bags from Radisson in Guwahati and will come back to Mumbai, of course in the chartered flights which are already there at the Guwahati airport at the service, and then they will come back to Mumbai.
Some seem to indicate that today was
going to
the
be
last
time,
cabinet.
It's not going to be that easy.
Okay, today was the last cabinet of the Uddhav Thackeray government, and clearly it was said no, it isn't. Then there was this very strong buzz that he may be putting in his papers after that cabinet meeting. That too wasn't true. Now we are told there's likely to be another cabinet tomorrow. What's an agenda? Is there any clarity on that?
Well, that is what, Gaurav. So, amidst all the speculations that were rife throughout the day about the cabinet of Uddhav Thackeray, there is yet another cabinet meeting called. And remember, Senior Minister Jitendra Awad, who came out of the cabinet meeting, said the cabinet has decided that all the rights will be given to Uddhav Thackeray on whatever decisions he has taken. So tomorrow, there might be some new agenda on the, as Anil Parab indicated, the agenda of renaming the city of Aurangabad to Sambhajinagar. Agendas like this might be there on the table. So even if the situation becomes volatile tomorrow, Uddhav Thackeray would be giving a push for the Hindutva agenda on which the rebellion is taking place. So renaming Aurangabad after Sambhaji could be Sambhajinagar could be one of the most important agendas that would be taken up tomorrow. Also to rename the Navi Mumbai airport after Diba Patil, a local leader who was very popular amongst the Agri community there. So that could be the agenda. Some populist decision can be taken tomorrow, even if the situation keeps developing tomorrow. If at all the BJP now has approached the governor and asked him to convene an immediate session of the assembly and asks the government to prove his majority, there will be some time given to the Uddhav Thackeray government, and tomorrow's cabinet meeting hence would be very crucial on what Uddhav Thackeray decides. Even after taking this decision, would he take decision of resigning? Is that what we remain, we will be interested in watching out at this point. But when Devendra Fadnavis comes out, whether it was a courtesy call as Manish was pointing out, or whether he has gone ahead and told the governor that, remember, looking at the volatile situation in Maharashtra, the media reports suggest that the government is in minority, a big chunk of Shiv Sena has walked out of the government and the situation remains volatile. So you should convene an immediate session, and the governor in his powers may soon ask the Chief Minister to call for a session and prove his majority. Maybe that could be another 48 hours.
Because the BJP hours. Very clearly, Sahil, Kamlesh and Munish is on the offensive from Praveen Darekar saying, why are so many GRs or government resolutions being cleared every day? The governor should call for all the files. The governor should see what is being cleared, to the fact that Devendra Fadnavis meets the governor at 10 o'clock at night. Munish, something seems to indicate that the BJP and the rebel camp which claims that their numbers have gone up to 52 or 53 with more independents pledging support to the Eknath Shinde Sena. Munish, is the Shiv Sena confident that the moment they land back in Mumbai and before the floor test, they'll be able to wean away at least 10 to 12 Sena MLAs back into the party fold?
Yeah, well, Gaurav, what Shiv Sena was banking on and what indication, and there are some more leaders, Gaurav, These are BJP leaders who are going inside the Raj Bhavan. I can tell you, Gaurav, at this point of time that there are more BJP leaders who are going inside the Raj Bhavan. One by one, there are at least 4 to 5 senior leaders of Maharashtra BJP who are at Raj Bhavan with Devendra Fadnavis. Now, coming back to your question, since the time this entire episode happened, Shiv Sena was banking on at least 10 to 14 MLAs. Every time they were claiming that when these MLAs from Eknath Shinde camp will land in Mumbai, then at least 10 to 14 will come to us, and they will be voting in favor of them if floor tests happen. But at this point of time, since yesterday the strategy of the Bharatiya Janata Party was that if all the 40 MLAs who are with Eknath Shinde, if they abstain from voting, then BJP will have the number because the strength of the house will go down. So that was the strategy of Bharatiya Janata Party. Till yesterday there was indication from Bharatiya Janata Party that they will not be asking the governor for floor test themselves. They will be waiting for a smaller party to approach the government. But after this meeting in afternoon with Home Minister Amit Shah and BJP President JP Nadda, we have been given to understand is that the strategy was changed, and now as we speak, Governor is meeting Devendra Fadnavis, and now the conversation is about the floor test and how the next government can be formed, and which is going to be of Bharatiya Janata Party, and Devendra Fadnavis might be the next.
So BJP sources are telling India today that this government, the Mahavikas Aghadi, has lost majority on the floor of the House. They do not have their strength, and that is why Uddhav Thackeray needs to take a floor test. Sahil, the BJP very clearly appears to have, at least as of now, worked its strategy out with the Eknath Shinde Sena and also with the rebels. They're claiming that more independents are coming forward, pledging their support to the Eknath Shinde Sena. What is Uddhav Thackeray's strategy? Because there were some indications that while he wanted to, continue with the Mahavikas Aghadi to keep his party together, some seem to indicate that he could walk out of the alliance, or is that too late for that?
Well, right now what we will need to hear is that from the governor, how much time will be given to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, because now it's done deal. The BJP had 3 choices before that. The first choice was, of course, that Eknath Shinde Sena approaches the governor equipped with 50, letter with signatures of around 50 MLAs, and to inform the governor that we are withdrawing support from the MBA, which would have been very clear that, they are not part of the MBA government. The MBA loses the majority. Accordingly, the governor informs the Chief Minister that I have received such a letter, prove your majority. The second option, of course, was the independent MLAs goes to the governor, but that would have taken time because there are only 10 MLAs right now who are independent and belongs to the smaller parties. That would have spoiled the chances. The last option, of course, was that the BJP gets on the ground, goes to the governor and informs that we have the information. We think that there are so many MLAs who are not in touch with this government. They have contacted us, asked the government to take the confidence test on the floor of the House, and that is how you can solve this problem. Now the governor will act. Now it looks like that the governor may ask Uddhav Thackeray to prove his majority on the floor of the House. Now, most importantly, what is going to happen future? Because Shiv Sena had made it very clear that the Supreme Court has advised them that if tomorrow governor asks them to take the floor test, you can come back to the Supreme Court. Now, what Supreme Court does, that is something what we will not be able to predict. But they have this option to go to the Supreme Court and seek their intervention, because right now what has happened in the Supreme Court is that the petition challenging the Deputy Speaker's decision to send notices to the MLAs belonging to the Shinde camp for the disqualification, it's pending in the court. They have given time till 11th of July. The second petition with respect to whether the Deputy Speaker has the authority to do that right now, because there is a petition pending against him as well, that is challenged in the Supreme Court, again 11th of July. The last segment of these petitions, whether who is the real leader of Shiv Sena Legislative Party, the new leader appointed by Uddhav Thackeray, Ajay Chaudhary, is he the leader of Shiv Sena Legislative Party, or as claimed by Eknath Shinde camp that they are the real Shiv Sena Legislative Party, has not yet been touched by the Supreme Court. Whether that will be solved before the Uddhav Thackeray
Okay,
government.
breaking news coming in. Breaking news coming in. Floor test is to be held on the 30th of June. 2 days from now, there will be a floor test. Breaking news coming in. On the 30th of June, Uddhav Thackeray will have to take a floor test. Uddhav Thackeray has to prove his numbers 2 days from now in the Maharashtra State Assembly. Floor test Sahil Joshi on the 30th of June at 11 in the morning. Very little time and space for Uddhav Thackeray to maneuver. Would he then be just rushing to the Supreme Court tomorrow perhaps?
Well, immediately, it looks like that the governor has taken cognizance of this very immediately and have asked the Uddhav Thackeray government to take the floor test immediately as soon as possible by 30th of June. That is very clear. The governor has asked. I think there needs to be checked again, but the governor may ask Uddhav Thackeray to convene special session and prove the majority. That is something which we can break at this point of time. Governor has cited media reports and a letter from some independent MLAs about the government being in minority. So these are the things which the governor has cited. Now it looks like that the Uddhav Thackeray government has very limited option. They will immediately have to move to the Supreme Court and will need to decide now what next, what needs to be done with respect to the demand made by the governor, whether they will immediately move to the Supreme Court because they still have a couple of days time. Tomorrow by morning, it looks like now that the Maharashtra government will move to the Supreme Court and seek intervention. That has been made very clear to us by the Shiv Sena sources even before the cabinet meeting began today. They had made it very clear that Uddhav Thackeray is not going to resign. He is going to explore all his options, all his legal options before finally coming to the terms that he will need to take the floor test, and he has no legal support finally when he will run out of his options with respect to the legal options. Only then he may think of doing something that what Ajit Pawar did in 2019, that he resigned as a Deputy Chief Minister from Devendra Fadnavis' cabinet. Similarly, Uddhav Thackeray may decide to quit only and only after he realizes that he has left with no other option legally.
Okay. Give me some time. I'll get you more on the story. Maharashtra war. This war for Maharashtra appears to be in a very decisive phase as of now. A lot of information coming in. We're slipping into a quick break at this stage. Back with lots more. Stay with us. The Maharashtra Sena war now appears to be in its decisive phase. As Uddhav Thackeray continues to lose his MLAs, the possibility of a floor test looks all but certain. Now, in a last-ditch effort to save the Shiv Sena, the entire Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray today sent out a rather emotional appeal to all the rebel leaders saying, come back into the party fold, all is forgiven, we'll sit across the table, we'll sort out all differences, and that all is still not lost.
Left with just 16 MLAs, Uddhav Thackeray probably knows that he's fighting a losing battle. And so, from being a roaring tiger threatening the rebels, he has now switched tracks and is taking the emotional route. As he stares at a floor test, Uddhav made an emotional appeal to the 39 MLAs who've been camping in Guwahati. Addressing the rebels directly in a written message, Uddhav said that they are still in Shiv Sena from their hearts and that he knows that they've been locked up. He told the rebels that he respected their sentiment and it was still not too late to come to him and talk and that they could still find a way.
मला असं वाटतं की जर एक कुठल्याही कुटुंबात भांड्याला भांडं जर लागलं तर ते एखादा आपला मुलगा जर किंवा मुलगी ही रुसून गेली तर आई वडील हे सगळं पोटात घेऊन तो प्रश्न सोडवतात.
While Uddhav told rebels that he was concerned about them, NCP leader Supriya Sule drew the red line, declaring that only Uddhav Thackeray was the real custodian of Bala Saheb's legacy.
बाळासाहेबांनी स्वतः ते हयात असताना त्यांचा उत्तराधिकारी म्हणून उद्धवजींना ह्या संपूर्ण खूप मोठी जबाबदारी होती खरं तर शिवसेनेची ती त्यांच्यावर दिली.
In Guwahati, it seems like the outreach is not working. Shinde Sena's latest video shows the rebel camp exuberant. The rebels have said they are in Guwahati of their own will.
शिवसेनेतच आहे, शिवसेनेसोबतच आहे, परंतु आपल्या बाळासाहेबांच्या आणि उद्धव साहेबांच्या शिवसेनेला ज्यांच्या वागण्यामुळे वाईट नजर लागलेली आहे, त्या वाईट नजरेतनं म्हणजेच घटक पक्षांच्या वाईट नजरेतनं शिवसेनेला बाहेर काढण्याचा जो निर्णय एकनाथ शिंदे साहेबांनी घेतला, त्यांचं समर्थन म्हणून मी गुवाहाटीमध्ये आलेलो आहे.
आम्हाला कोण या ठिकाणी घेऊन आलं नाही, कोंडलं नाही, मारलं नाही, हाणलं नाही, अफवा पसरवू नका की आम्ही 40 आमदारांनी मिळून एकजुटीनं विचार करून आम्ही शिंदे साहेबांना इकडे घेऊन आलो आणि शिंदे साहेबांना आम्ही विनंती केली, कृपा करून आमचा मतदारसंघातली जनता आणि आमच्या मतदारसंघाचं भविष्याचं राजकारण वाचवा.
Numbers are stacked against him. Can Uddhav really save his Sena and his Sarkar?
From threats to warnings and now emotional appeal, Uddhav Thackeray and his party men are using every trick in the book to persuade the rebels. But with Shinde Sena only swelling, it seems like Uddhav Thackeray is running out of time and options. With cameraman Mandar in Mumbai, Vidya for India Today.
And news coming in from Raj Bhavan in Mumbai is that Devendra Fadnavis has submitted a letter seeking intervention by Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari. The BJP wants the Mahavikas Aghadi to take a floor test and for Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to prove he enjoys the majority in the Maharashtra State Assembly. Devendra Fadnavis seeks the governor's intervention and wants Uddhav Thackeray to take a floor test and prove he enjoys majority on the floor of the House. I want to cut across to India Today's Kamlesh Sutar. Kamlesh, we just saw that report about Uddhav Thackeray making a rather emotional appeal to the Shiv Sainiks who are rebels in Guwahati. Now, this seems to be a blow hot, blow cold. One day he's very angry, one day he's saying, okay, come back, we'll sit, we'll talk, and we'll settle this. Is this possible? Is this still possible to sit, talk, or has a lot of water now flown down the river and now he would have to take a floor test minus these 39 of his in Guwahati?
Well, Gaurav, what we are learning is that Uddhav Thackeray had made up his mind the moment he realized that majority of his flock, the majority of the stable has gone to the other side. He realized that, and even that day he was ready to put in his paper. He was willing to hang his boots. But Sharad Pawar, after that meeting with Sharad Pawar, he was convinced by Sharad Pawar, saying that you will have to fight it to the end because there are a lot of ammunitions that you have, a lot of legal ammunitions that are still left with you. So unless and until you exhaust all that, you should not go down. If you want to go down, you should go down fighting. That is what the advice given by Sharad Pawar to him, and even Uddhav Thackeray seemed to have decided. Now, on one hand, that is the strategy to fight it legally. For Uddhav Thackeray, the option to go to Supreme Court is still open, as Shiv Sena leaders have been pointing this out to, that in case there is a floor test demanded by the governor, they would seek intervention of the Supreme Court, saying that the issue of disqualification of MLAs is still pending. Until then, the floor test should not be ordered one. On the other hand, Uddhav Thackeray is fighting day in and day out to save the party. Even if the legislative party is gone, he wants to save the party called Shiv Sena along with his workers. On one hand, we've seen leaders like Sanjay Raut and even Aditya Thackeray going out and attacking the rebels, calling them names, but on the other hand, Uddhav Thackeray is trying to pacify them, calling himself as the chief of the family and asking them to come and sit, and all problems would be resolved once you come and sit. I'm worried about you, I'm concerned about you. I know that the concerns raised by you deserve some attention from me, so let us sit and discuss. There's still time, we can sit and solve all the problems. So on one hand, Uddhav Thackeray is trying to play the good cop, while Sanjay Raut and others are attacking the MLAs like
अरे एक मिनट आ गया सब तो वही चलो
माननीय राज्यपालांना बस बस गलती के माननीय राज्यपालांना आज ईमेलद्वारे अशा प्रकारे भारतीय जनता पक्षाने पत्र दिलेलं आहे आणि या पत्रामध्ये राज्याची आत्ताची जी काही परिस्थिती आहे त्याचा आम्ही उल्लेख केला आहे. ज्या बातम्या आम्हाला पाहायला मिळत आहेत शिवसेनेचे 39 आमदार बाहेर आहेत. काँग्रेस राष्ट्रवादी सोबत आम्हाला राहायचं नाही असा पवित्रा त्यांनी घेतलेला आहे. अशा या सगळ्या परिस्थितीमध्ये
In such a situation,
बहुमत शिल्लक राहिलेलं नाही त्यामुळे त्यांना बहुमत सिद्ध करायला
the
सांगावं.
government has lost its majority
अशा
and
प्रकारची
this government should be asked to prove its majority.
विनंती करणारं पत्र हे आम्ही आज राज्यपालांना दिलंय. आता त्या
We
संदर्भात
have given a letter in this regard.
माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालयाचे विविध निर्णय जे आहेत त्या निर्णयांचाही काही उल्लेख आम्ही केलेला आहे आणि त्याच्या
We have
आधारावर
also provided some letters of
माननीय राज्यपाल
Supreme Court
उचित निर्णय
decisions
घेतील
in the past as precedents.
आणि मेजॉरिटी
We are sure
सिद्ध
that
करण्याकरता
His Excellency the Governor will take a
योग्य ते
decision
निर्देश देतील
and will ask the
अशा
government
प्रकारची आम्हाला अपेक्षा आहे.
to prove its majority.
आज राज्यपाल जी को ईमेल के माध्यम से और प्रत्यक्ष रूप से हमने पत्र दिया है और इस पत्र में हमने ये कहा है कि राज्य की जो परिस्थिति दिखाई पड़ती है इस परिस्थिति में शिवसेना के 39 विधायक ये बाहर है और वो लगातार ये कह रहे हैं कि हम कांग्रेस एनसीपी की सरकार में नहीं रहना चाहते और इसका सीधा मतलब है कि ये 39 MLAs ये सरकार के साथ नहीं है या वे महाविकास आघाड़ी को समर्थन नहीं देना चाहते और इसलिए हमने राज्यपाल जी को कहा है कि चूंकि सरकार अल्पमत में दिखाई पड़ती है इसलिए तुरंत सरकार को आप निर्देश दें, मुख्यमंत्री को निर्देश दें कि माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी फ्लोर टेस्ट करें और अपना बहुमत सिद्ध करें. मांगने के लिए अरे आगे भी जा रहे हैं.
So Devendra Fadnavis, they're making it very clear. They not only sent out an email to Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari, but also submitted a letter in person to the governor saying they had come to know that 39 Shiv Sena MLAs were not keen to support the Mahavikas Aghadi government. They did not want to continue with the Congress and the NCP as part of the Mahavikas Aghadi. Therefore, prima facie, it appears that the Uddhav Thackeray government does not enjoy the majority of the floor of majority of the House, and that is why it is time for him to take a floor test to prove his numbers on the floor of the House. They've requested the governor to instruct Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to take a floor test because the government now is in minority. This is the submission of Devendra Fadnavis before Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari in Mumbai. Kamlesh Sutar now joins me for more. Kamlesh, how much time would the governor ideally, and you've been speaking to a number of legal and constitutional experts, how much time does the Chief Minister have to prove his numbers should such a request be made to the governor to urge the Chief Minister to take a floor test?
Gaurav, it's the discretion of the governor at this point in time, but it could be anything between 48 hours to 72 hours or even a larger time frame if the government wants to allow the government to take some more time to prove its majority. But Devendra Fadnavis, for the first time, Gaurav, why is this a big development? Because this is for the first time that the BJP has entered the entire scenario of the political drama that has been ensuing in Maharashtra for last almost 1 week. Ever since the Shiv Sena MLAs Shiv Sena MLAs went to Surat, and from there they flew to Guwahati. There hasn't been one big statement from any big BJP leader about their role. In fact, on the contrary, state BJP leaders have been saying that they have got nothing to do with the rebellion and they have been maintaining a stoic silence. Today, for the first time, some senior leader from the party, and none other than the former Chief Minister and leader of opposition, Devendra Fadnavis, coming out, directly meeting the governor. This happens after a few hours after he met his party bosses in Delhi. He met Amit, Shah and JP Nadda in Delhi. He flew back to Mumbai, and just within hours, he went directly to the Raj Bhavan, handed over a letter saying that what appears from the media reports that 39 of Shiv Sena MLAs are not with the party. They don't want a government with the Congress and NCP, and that is why it appears that this government is in minority, and hence the governor should ask the government to prove its majority. Now what does the procedure say? The governor would send a letter to the Chief Minister saying that he has received a memorandum from the leader of opposition saying that the government does not enjoy a majority because according to the media reports, several of its MLAs do not want a government, and it appears that they are not in support of the government. Hence, the government has lost its majority, and therefore the government should prove its majority on the floor of the House. Now, it's all up to the governor, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, to give them the time.
Yes. What would make this extremely difficult for Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray is the fact that it's not just Shiv Sena rebel MLAs, but a large number of independents who had earlier pledged support to the Mahavikas Aghadi, and that number is oscillating between 8 and 10. They've withdrawn their support, or at least claim they are no longer with Uddhav Thackeray, and have pledged support to the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena. So the rebel camp numbers are swelling almost every day, and Uddhav Thackera's Sena numbers seem to be dwindling. The factual position, Kamlesh.
Well, yes, but now, Gaurav, looking forward, what happens now? On one hand, the support for rebel Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde is swelling with every passing days. We've seen every day some or the other MLA from the Shiv Sena faction joining. In fact, some MLAs who even attended that meeting with Uddhav Thackeray on the day of rebellion have also switched over to Eknath Shinde camp. But now, what happens next? The Shiv Sena is still willing to keep its legal options open, because we had the Supreme Court hearing yesterday where the Supreme Court in a way had given respite to the MLAs who were facing disqualification. In fact, they've got some more time till 11th of July till no action would be taken against them. They've been given extra time to do that. Now, that was worrying for the Shiv Sena, but the council appearing for the Deputy Speaker had sought explanation from the court saying that they should pass orders regarding the no confidence motion or trust vote if at all there are some orders, but the court had clearly denied, saying that this is not the issue before us at this point in time, but in case if it comes in the future, they have the option of appearing the Supreme Court like any other citizen of the country. Shiv Sena has kept that option open. So tomorrow, in case the governor orders a trust vote, ask Uddhav Thackeray to prove majority on the floor of the House, the Shiv Sena in all likelihood is likely to appear to approach the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to intervene in this matter, as the matter of disqualification of 16 MLAs who the Shiv Sena has sent a letter to the Deputy Speaker to disqualify. They'll say that this matter is pending. Until this matter is settled, there should not be a trust vote. This issue has to be settled, because this issue will lead to several other issues on who the leader of the House is, who
Yes.
the leader of legislative or party of Shiv Sena is, who the chief whip is, who will issue the whip, who will be the leader of the legislative party. These all issues need to be figured out first. On that context, Shiv Sena will approach the Supreme Court, and in case the Supreme Court decides to do a hearing on this, this might well go beyond the stipulated time. But it's all now up to Governor on how much time he wants to give to Uddhav Thackeray to prove his majority on the floor of the House. It is 48 hours, 78 hours, or 72 hours, or more than that. Gaurav.
Okay, and those reports that seem to indicate that Uddhav Thackeray had seen the writing on the wall and he wanted to put in his papers but was persuaded against it by Sharad Pawar. Now, is Uddhav Thackeray being led up the garden path, or is there actually a strategy to bring back at least some of these MLAs who are currently a part of the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena?
Well, Gaurav, see, it's very simple. What Shiv Sena is hoping, Shiv Sena is keeping its hope on, is the fact that Eknath Shinde will require 2/3 of the majority of MLAs with him. Even if that number goes beyond 37, 37 is the 2/3 of 55 MLAs at this point. Eknath Shinde has a support of 39. That is what Devendra Fadnavis had said in the letter. So even if the number goes down from 37 to 36 or 35, that's going to be a big shot in the arm for the Shiv Sena. They can then issue disqualification notice against these MLAs, because this will not be considered as a 2/3 split in the party and they will not be recognized. Before that happens, now what Uddhav Thackeray and his faction of the Shiv Sena wants to do at this point in time is to disqualify. They have sought disqualification of the 16 MLAs, not all 39. That question was asked to Shiv Sena several times on why just 16. Why not all 39 MLAs have gone there? But that seems to be the strategy of the Shiv Sena, also in a way to create some kind of confusion among these MLAs. But if, as I said earlier, and I underline that, I repeat, if at all the number comes beyond 37, in any case, Eknath Shinde faction would face problems. So they don't want the number to come down. Just on the day of trust vote, if at all it is called by the governor of Maharashtra, all the MLAs would be flown from Guwahati to Maharashtra in Mumbai at Raj Bhavan, and then the government would be facing floor tests. And even in case, Gaurav, this is very important. Even if Eknath Shinde faction decides not to attend, even then numbers would be in favor of Bharatiya Janata Party, because the strength of the house would come down, and in a way that would be something which would be easily achievable for the Bharatiya Janata Party. But in that case, who issues the whip will be the question, and that is why on that count Shiv Sena would like to approach the Supreme Court, because whenever such important issue comes, the chief whip of the party issues a 3-line whip saying that all members should attend.
The question remains,
for a particular
absolutely, as far as the Shiv Sena is concerned, is Eknath Shinde the leader of the party, and who's the whip of the party? All of these issues, as you're saying, will be sorted out perhaps only by the Supreme Court. But Ritwik Bhalekar also joins me right now. Ritwik Bhalekar is joining me from Raj Bhavan. Ritwik, the information that came out that seemed to say that it could well be in the next 48 hours, the floor test, apparently the governor would require more time to apply his mind before coming to a conclusion. By when should the floor test be ordered, Ritwik?
Yes, absolutely, but that is the only reason why Devendra Fadnavis and his team has approached at these hours in the night. They have come to the Raj Bhavan and they have submitted the letter to the governor, so that governor can have an ample amount of time to think over it, and he can direct Maharashtra Legislative Assembly Secretary to convene a special session which is required for the floor test. Now, the letter which is viral and which is said to be leaked and it is said to be fake, but if we go through the content of that letter, the first 2 paragraphs very categorically says that Uddhav Sarkar has lost its majority and a floor test is necessary. At the same time, not only opposition opposition leaders. We saw opposition leaders approaching governor now, individuals. But yes, Devendra Fadnavis, while talking to India Today after his bite to media, he told that there are also several independent MLAs who have mailed to governor's secretariat, and they have also demanded a floor test because the Uddhav government is in a minority. So they want a floor test to be proved. Maybe the strategy has been changed after series of meetings in Delhi today between Devendra Fadnavis, the senior lawyer Ram Jethmalani and other leaders of BJP. But yes, this is to be seen that when will government direct Maharashtra Legislative Assembly Secretary to convene the session. It is believed that, it is learned that it will be convened on 30th of June, which is the end of this month, just 48 hours after now. But we'll have to see for the official word coming out from Governor Raj Bhavan, Maharashtra.
Though the Raj Bhavan has just confirmed that that letter was not issued by them, it's an unsigned letter, and India Today is getting you the ground situation. So the governor, we are told, and is what sources are telling India Today, will apply his mind, and then a decision will be taken. When will the floor test be ordered? But strategy in both camps. As far as the Eknath Shinde camp is concerned, Kamlesh, while Eknath Shinde said he'll be coming to Mumbai very soon, his biggest challenge as of now would be to ensure that his flock stays together till the floor test, because Sanjay Raut and the Shiv Sena, they've repeatedly made it very clear that when you come to Mumbai, the situation will be very different.
Well, Gaurav, what we are learning from our sources is that some BJP leaders have already approached Union Home Ministry, and in fact also a letter has been sent officially by the Governor of Maharashtra seeking security of these MLAs. There were concerns about the security, and he has written a letter not just to the DGP of Maharashtra, the Home Minister of Maharashtra, but also a letter has been sent to the Union Home Ministry, and we, in all likelihood, what we believe is that additional forces of the CRPF would be deployed in case these MLAs plan to come to Maharashtra, because whatever happens will be happening at the floor of the House, and given even the governor has mentioned in that letter that there is a threat perception to the life and property of these MLAs, and also there have been provocative statements by some leaders from the Shiv Sena, which in a way suggest at attacks or otherwise on the MLAs of the rebel camp. So they've already written to the Union Home Ministry and also to the DGP. On that backdrop, even if the trust vote is ordered by the governor, he asked Uddhav Thackeray to prove it's going to be a big police security. A posse of security men will not just be posted in Mumbai at several places, including from the airport. They arrive to the Vidhan Bhavan where the floor test is going to take place. But on the strategy part, Shiv Sena strategy is concerned, Shiv Sena, as I mentioned earlier, has been strategizing it on several fronts. On one hand, Uddhav Thackeray is trying to win back those government. He has kept that window of rapprochement open with the MLAs. Couple of days before, he said that he is willing to step down as a chief minister, also saying that he is willing to step down as the party chief as well. And today he went a step further, saying that I am the head of the family of Shiv Sena, and you can come and talk to me. There's still time. You can come and discuss whatever issues you have. I respect your opinions, and you should be discussing that with me. Don't just get carried away by all the false promises that are being made to you.
Both to you and Ritwik, one by one, is that a genuine option that's still on the table? Because as far as the Eknath Shinde Sena is concerned, are they willing to operate as, work as one family, one team, if Uddhav Thackeray were to pull out of the Mahavikas Aghadi, cut ties with the Congress and the NCP, and tie up with the BJP? Again, Eknath Shinde has repeatedly spoken in this direction, but is that genuinely an option for Uddhav Thackeray at this stage? Okay, Kamlesh, you go first and then Ritwik. Okay, give me a moment. I think I've lost that line with Kamlesh. Ritwik, is that actually an option for Uddhav Thackeray to walk out of Mahavikas Aghadi and to keep his his Shiv Sena family together? And can Eknath Shinde and those rebels work with Uddhav Thackeray and the rest of the Shiv Sena if they're no longer a part of MVA and tie up with the BJP?
What we've been learning throughout this day is that today an urgent cabinet meeting was called by CM Uddhav Thackeray. No agenda and no cabinet note was distributed as it goes always. But in the cabinet meeting, Uddhav Thackeray, after consulting with Sharad Pawar and senior leaders in Congress, he has come to the conclusion that they are ready to fight on the and go forward for the floor test. So that is what is being understood from MVA camp. All the ministers supported him from NCP and Congress, and when BJP knew about it that Uddhav is not going to step back, he is not going to resign, because earlier also when he communicated to everyone in the state from Facebook Live, it was believed that Uddhav is going to resign, but he did not do so because it is told through sources that Sharad Pawar had asked him and convinced him not to resign. We will give a good fight and we will go forward with the floor test. Now BJP has come to the terms that Uddhav is not going to go so easily, he is not going to resign by himself, and hence we need to take a step forward. And we saw today that BJP leader, after a series of meetings in Delhi with senior leaders, with senior lawyers, they have come to Mumbai, and without wasting any time they have approached governor, they have given their submission, they have demanded a floor test now, and Uddhav has to go forward for a floor test.
Another big breaking story coming out on India Today. Eknath Shinde has called an emergency meeting with all the rebel leaders of the Shiv Sena. So 39 rebel leaders of the Shiv Sena are to hold a key meeting in Guwahati for the next course of action as this battle for Maharashtra enters a decisive phase. Of course, the Eknath Shinde Sena have claimed the support of over 50 MLAs. They've claimed they have about 39 of their own. That number could go up, is what Eknath Shinde Sena claims, plus 10 independents and smaller parties. MLAs are also with them. So they claim that number is already 50 plus and could go a little higher. And I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Paulami Saha joining up from Guwahati. Paulami, do the number crunching for us. What's the strength that the Eknath Shinde Sena enjoys as of now as they call this emergency huddle?
Well, as far as the Eknath Shinde camp is concerned, or the Radisson camp is concerned, Gaurav, the numbers stand at 39 for the Shiv Sena plus 2 of the Prahar Janshakti Party and 7 independents. Their total figure currently stands at 48 right now, and we can tell our viewers that Eknath Shinde, in the light of the developments that have taken place this evening in Mumbai, has called for an emergency meeting with all the MLAs, all the 48 MLAs present inside Hotel Radisson right now as we speak, because as soon as the governor calls for a session, he and the camp will have to make their way to Mumbai in order to vote in that trust vote. So that is the number 48 inside Radisson. As far as claims that are being made by the BJP camp right now, which has obviously gone ahead and sought this floor test, they believe that eventually when the floor test takes place, they will have 168 in fact members voting with them, and they believe that the MVA's figures will stand at about 117. That would basically be 16 of the Shiv Sena, left of the Shiv Sena, 51 of the NCP, excluding Nawab Malik and Anil Deshmukh, who are unlikely to get the opportunity to vote in these on this trust vote, and then of course 44 of the Congress, plus 2 of the Samajwadi Party, 2 of the AIMIM, and 2 independents at 117. And if I had to show the BJP's calculations as to how they are going to arrive at the numbers that they claim to have right now in terms of the strength on the floor, they believe that BJP plus 5 BJP-backed independents plus 1 RSP plus 1 GSS. Now this is the NDA. That is about 113. They're expecting the Shinde Sena faction to vote with them. That's plus 39 independents who are with the Shinde Sena right now. The current number at Radisson is 7, but the BJP claims that number is likely to go up to 8 on the day of the floor test. Then there is the Prahar Jal Shakti Party with 2, Bahujan Vikas Aghadi with 3, MNS with 1, Swabhimani Shetkari Paksh with 1, and PWPI with 1. The total standing at 168 is what they claim they'll have on the floor.
We'll keep tracking that story. Will these numbers hold even on the floor of the House? And that would be the big challenge for both sides. And we'll be tracking that story very, very closely. The Shiv Sena would want to ensure it sails through. The Shinde Sena and the BJP would want these numbers to hold.